Welcome back to the Sweet Science team. Today we're going to look at 3 punch combos that you should be doing as a beginner. Hey team, 3 punch combos. We're going to look at them from a shadow boxing point of view and how to do them on the heavy bag as well. But first, thank you to everyone who's helped me just hit 1,000 subscribers. The channel's not been going long and it's blowing up nicely, so that's down to you, and thank you. I appreciate that. So let's get on with today's lesson. The 1-2-1, staple of any boxing gym. It is a jab, cross jab. It's great for closing the distance. It is a straight line attack, however, but it's also great to use all your push-out jabs that we've been talking about as well. Shadow boxing, great to close that distance. Bag work, bags don't swing that fast, so we do it slightly differently. But the 1-2-1 is simply a jab, cross, jab. Love it, it's one of my favorites. If you're going to close the distance, I don't fully rotate on that cross, okay? It's not like when I'm throwing a jab cross, it is jab, cross, and I push from the back foot. Look at the distance I travel from there. And back out again. 1-2-1. It's variations with the push-out jabs. 1-2-1. It's still a 1-2-1. Taking it to the left. 1-2-1. Taking it to the right. 1-2-1. It is very versatile and it's one that you should be practicing. Let's look at it on the bag. So the 1-2-1. Just said, it's one of my favourites. Obviously this bag's not going to swing too far, so if I want to practice it closing the distance, I'll make sure I'm missing to begin with. That's me closing the distance. If I want to just practice nice and powerful shots, if you're going to do this, make sure non-punching hands on the chin. Non-punching hands on the chin. Non-punching hands on the chin. Look for the usual mistakes. This, hand comes down, hand doesn't come back to the chin. Too close. No rotations. Of course, you could do it with speed, not power. Yeah, that is, I'm not committing my rotations too much. I'm just looking for speed, keeping lanes busy. And as we just talked about with the shadow boxing, work this 1-2-1 in all the directions. 1-2-1, push out jab. Keeps you safe. Take the left lane. Take the right lane. Such a versatile 3-punch combination. Definitely put that into your practice routines. Next up, we have the 1-1-2, another great one that I practice to this day. I practice it all of the time. This does require a bit of footwork to shadow box it. Not so much on the bag, we will just foot strike. But if I'm going to shadow box this to close range or circle, I need a little bit of footwork. And it is step, 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 step. We spoke about movement steps and recovery steps. So if I want to go forwards, it is a movement step on the jab, a recovery step, a movement step, and a recovery step. The 1-1-2. Jab, jab, cross. Step, 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 step. It is 3 punches and 4 steps. Take time, as always. Step, 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 step. Watch for the common mistake. 3 steps and 3 punches. Step, step, step. Foot got left behind, my hip can't rotate. I'll never get the power that I want in that power shot. 1-1-2 is very, very versatile. You can practice if you want to. Full jab, full jab. Personally, I jab on the first one and it becomes more of a half jab, almost flick jab. If you watch my elbow, it goes jab and kind of comes back. See how it's a little bit flared, and jabs again. I don't commit, personally, I don't commit to 2 full jabs. However, if you're a beginner, why shouldn't you work your mechanics? Don't forget your exit as well. We can circle that, but I'd rather you do that in a straight line first. Circling to my left if I'm a right-hander. Step, 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 step. And we'll have a look at that on the bag. So let's practice the 1-1-2 on the bag. My bag's not going to swing too far, so I could always be out of range. Step, step, cross from there. However, I'm personally going to foot strike, so I'm going to make sure I'm in range. I'm going to foot strike, left foot, left hand, right foot, right hand. Keeping it all long range, so I don't want to be too close. That's silly. Long range. We can circle this as well. It's a little bit more difficult, and if you're still struggling with the first one, practice that first. I can circle to my left as I do it. 1, 1, 2, 4 steps, 3 punches. What you don't want to do, why I wanted to concentrate on the other one first, you don't want to close this range as you're circling, i.e. getting closer to the bag as I'm circling. I'm trying to keep that range as I'm circling. Excuse a little shuffle of the feet there. So I don't want to go jab, jab, cross. I'm too close. That is a common mistake. It's a long range attack. Slow that down. Step, 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 step. And I should be back in my foundation. Feet 45 degrees, hands up, chin down, elbows tight, soft knees, bladed stance. And I've just changed angles. So that's a great one to practice. Another classic 3-punch combination, the 1, 2, 3, the jab, the cross, and the lead hook. From a beginner point of view, when you're shadow boxing, start with your good stance, toe heel line. If we're just staying stationary, jab, cross, I've turned the rear heel, brought the hip forward, rotate the shoulders, and I'm going to rotate the lead foot, drop the weight onto the back foot. We have covered that in another video. I'll leave a link in the description. So that is jab, cross, hook from there. Pay attention to the details, non-punching hand on the chin. We can, however, move that forwards. Step, step, and I rotate on that last little step. I always like to just bounce back again, just to make sure I'm out of range slightly. Nice little 3-punch combination, and you're finishing with your lead hand, which is always safer. Always safer, because this hand's got less distance to travel back to your safe position, your guard. 1, 2, 3, that's quickly back to my guard. If I finish with my backhand, I want some kind of head movement as well. So, let's look at that on the bag. There's a few ways I like to practice the jab, cross, hook on the bag. Just because I'm using the aqua bag doesn't mean you can't do this on a normal bag. So, if we're staying with our feet stationary, shorten your jab, cross up a little tiny bit. You don't want to be like here, because obviously that's not a good jab, but I can definitely shorten this, cross up a little tiny bit to get a nice good hook on the end. Jab, that's a short range, long range punch. I've shortened my straight right so I get a good rotation on my hook. The other way I like to practice it is play with the ranges. Long range hooks, we've spoke about this before. There's my jab, there's my cross. When I'm throwing a long range hook, I just release the hand on the rotation a little bit early. As I start to pull this hand back, this hand comes out and it will naturally come round in an arc. If you're going to do the long range hook, make sure your thumb is towards you and not up. That is definitely a slap if you do that, okay? So long range, 1, 2, 3. To this day, I still practice that all the time. It's one of my favourite little long range combinations. I like it. a lot. The other way to practice it is to send your two past your bag so you can get a good rotation in from there. So I'm going to send my jab past the edge of the bag, my cross past the edge of the bag, and fully commit a good rotation on the hook. Another 1, 2, 3. Make sure you come back to your nice safe position. The 1, 6, 3. Jab, rear hand uppercut, lead hand hook. Some might say this is not a beginner combination because uppercuts are quite difficult to get right. But I like people to practice them because this is a nice little combination to make sure your mechanics are working well. Essentially, it is a jab followed by a backhand uppercut followed by a lead hook, the 1, 6, 3. Application wise, someone might inside slip your jab. There's a very nice uppercut waiting for you from there. Problem with it, it is a long range attack followed by a mid-range attack, unless you were to offer the plate of food. We spoke about that in the uppercut video before. That would be long range, that would be long range, that would be long range. But to practice with your shadow boxing, essentially we're jab, bend the knees as his hand's coming back, push from the hip. Remember, it's not that. Bend the knees, drive from the hip, use the legs to get the uppercut, and the pull of the rotation of this shoulder brings the hook in from there. Jab, up, round. Helps get this rotation go. Remember, you are pulling all of your punches, not pushing. That is a common beginner mistake. Push, push, push. No mechanics. Jab, knees. Use this muscle. Drive from the hip, rotate. We can close the distance with it. If you're a little bit more advanced, we'll step on the jab and we'll bring the back foot in on the uppercut and rotate. So we've got a bit slower, step, step, rotate. And of course you can just keep this all long range when you're shadow boxing from here. Long range, long range, long range. So we've got jab, uppercut, hook. Jab, uppercut, hook with some footwork. Long range stationary and long range moving. From there, let's have a look at the application on the bag. So it's obviously handy if you do have something like an aqua bag or a maze bag, or you've got one of the heavy bags which has the uppercut section on it as well, a wall mounted bag. So I'll do it on the aqua bag first, but I'll also show you how to do it on a standard heavy bag, or my way to do it on a standard heavy bag. So the jab, uppercut, hook. Couple of ways, keep it long range. Jab, long range, uppercut, long range hook. Step in on the jab, keep it a little bit closer. Jab, uppercut, rotate on the hook from there. Or make the bag swing on the jab and catch it on the back swing from there. So there's a slight pause. Made the bag. It's like trigger, defense and attack. I'm waiting for you to attack me back. That's what I'm imagining when I do that. But let's have a quick look how to work this on a standard heavy bag as well. Obviously with a standard heavy bag there's no chin to hit, so a couple of ways we can do it. I have my version of this, not everyone likes it, but it's just my version. Where I'm going to throw my jab, so I'm going to step in on the jab, and we spoke about this in another video where I actually drive the forearm up. That's making sure I have got my forearm underneath so I have structure behind my punch, because what you don't want to do, guys, is that on a mid-range. Yes, on a long range it kind of has to. Mid-range, which is the stronger part of it, we want that structure. So I personally like jab, and as far as I can, then throw my hook from there. So we get. Of course, you could just miss. No harm in that. I put my long range hook on the end there. So I went jab, uppercut, and long range hook on the end. So don't be afraid to miss the bag. Okay, there's no reason why you can't be here and do that. It just feels a little bit silly, but just imagine that there's a chin there. Or work we have done before, my forearm is coming up the bag, making sure that I have that good structure behind the uppercut. So there's a couple of ways to work that on a few different bags. Practice that, team. A 2-3-2, straight backhand, lead hook, straight backhand. I think this is the one where we're not leading with the lead hand, we're going to lead with the rear hand on this one. Again, good one mechanically for beginners to practice, because unless you're going to go like that, it kind of forces you to get these rotations going. So from a good boxing stance, driving from the back foot, 2, 3, 2. Remember, first thing you should feel is pressure through your big toe. The hand doesn't go at the start of the movement. The hand goes at the last part of the movement. My heel lifts, my hip starts to come through, my back foot rotates, the lead shoulder starts to pull back. The last thing to move is the hand, and we rotate at the end. As I'm throwing the hook, this heel slams back to the ground, front foot heel lifts, hand comes back to the chin, elbows in line with the wrist, not down here. And then the same thing happens with the feet in the opposite direction. Lead heel goes down, drive the weight back to the front foot, hand goes on the last part of the movement. A lot of people don't expect a rear hand lead. Use southpaws. Your front foot outside of their front foot. 2, 3, 2 is a brilliant one for you southpaws. Because we are starting with our rear hand and finishing with our rear hand, when we're shadow boxing, we're going to add a little bit of head movement. We're going to go cross, hook, cross, and roll underneath your last punch. Of course, you could just push backwards. That's a head movement as well. 2, 3, 2, and recover from there. When you think about it, this hand's got further to travel out to your target, which means it's got further to travel back from your target. So as that's coming back, a little bit of head movement as well. Or just taking yourself off to the side, or back stepping. Let's have a little look on the bag, team. So, application on the bag, a couple of ways we can do it is all long range. Drive from your back foot, 2, long range 3, 2, and a roll. Other application is we can send the 2 past the bag, like we just done on the other heavy bag, and put a mid-range 3 on. From there, have fun with this one. Concentrate on your rotations. The 2 sets up the 3 and the 3 sets up the 2 as long as you are rotating. If we're just going rotate, rotate, weight transfer to the back foot, rotate, weight comes back onto the front foot, and don't forget your head movement for safety on the end. You get 2, potentially 3 for the price of 1 with this one, the 1-4-1. It could be a 1-4-3, all sorts. But let's look at the long range application first. Now I like this one a lot. Actual boxing application for a 1 long range 4-1. Your jab's coming down lane 2, that long range 4's coming in from here. It can often just open up this lane for the 1-4-1. That is your jab, your long range rear hook. And as I'm pulling that hand back, the jab goes out again from there. Jab, hook, jab. Pay attention to the detail of something. We've spoke about this as well. Imagine there's a pole in front of you on that long range hook. You can't go through it. You don't want to practice like this. Release the hand, on the rotations. If I was doing a 2, as we just spoke about, it is the last thing that goes. This goes with the rotation. You'll see it creates a natural arc from there. 1, 4, 1. Here's the second part. That could be a 1, 4, 3, couldn't it? It's the same body mechanics. 1, 4, and I release the jab early on the rotation and it comes round a little bit. If I do it facing the camera, straight line, on the rotation, on the rotation. So I've just gone straight down lane 2, lane 3, and lane 1. So at the moment we've got jab, hook, jab, or jab, hook, hook from here. Of course, you could practice this for good body mechanics with your mid-range rotation. Jab, hook, jab. Notice what's going on with the feet. It's not just my arms. Rotation of the hip. I've lifted my lead foot heel. Weight's transferred onto the front foot. Rear heel has lifted, elbows behind the hand, and as that heel goes back down, that hand comes back to the chin. So we've got jab, long range, jab. We've got jab, mid-range, jab. We've also got jab, long range, long range. And we could do the mid-range as well. Jab, mid-range, long range from there. So let's have a little look on the bag. So keeping this 1, 4, 1 all long range, jab, release the hand at the start of the rotation. There's your long range hook, and there's your jab on the end. From here, bit slower. Jab, long range hook, jab from there. Could turn that into a 1, 4, 3. We spoke about it with the shadow boxing, straight line. Release the hand on the rotation, release the hand on the rotation. You can see the arc it creates. So that's a jab, hook, hook. And of course, if you really want to work that mid-range on the bag, I'm going to shoot my jab slightly past I've got a slight angle. I'm going to load up that shot to really get the power behind that. Send the jab past the bag, bring in your hook, and send your jab out. There's another reason why that drill's good. If you aren't aware that you're flaring your elbow on the jab, you're going to hit the bag, particularly on the second jab. So if I send a good one here, send hook, and I flare the elbow, that's, yeah, it's going to catch you out. Hit the bag. So it's a good little drill to make sure you are not flaring your elbow on your jab. From here. Have a practice, guys. So let's look at a 1, 3, 2. So that's 2 on the left, 1 on the right if you're an orthodox, and it's 2 on the right, 1 on the left if you're a southpaw. So if we want to work our mechanics, which we should be doing as a beginner, we've got jab, pull this shoulder back, hook, cross, and of course a little bit of head movement because we're finishing with our back hand. That's working our mechanics, which you should be doing. Jab, hook, cross, roll. Jab, hook, cross, roll. Make it a little bit more realistic. That could be off of a slip, couldn't it? Jab, slip, hook, cross. Okay? Jab, slip, hook, cross. Remember, we're just putting our head into zone 1 when we do that. Bringing the rear shoulder forwards, hook, and cross. There's another way you can use it, which I've used a lot. Remember, I've said not every single punch you throw has to be a humanity-ending punch. Okay, touch 3. I'm simply jabbing at your lead hand. And I'm doing bad technique. And when I'm bringing a hook round to your rear hand, I want to keep it on the side of your face. Touch 3. There's a little bit going on there. I'm stepping slightly to my left as I'm doing that little touch 3. And then that 2 is coming right down that lane because your hand is stuck to your head because my touch 3 is there. Remember the application, think this if you're doing it on the bag. You're not trying to smash in your jab. You're occupying their lead hand, occupying their rear hand, and sending your two straight down the pipe. Let's look at it on the bag. If you're learning at home right now, you haven't got access to a boxing gym, and you haven't seen one of these before, it's a maze bag. It's actually my favourite bag to train on. You can get all the shots that you want to throw on these. They're reasonably soft. I mean, they're hard to hit as an impact wise, but they're reasonably soft, not going to damage your hands. But this is a great one for a 1-3-2 from here. So we spoke about the touch jab. Jab, I'm bringing my hand around, keeping it occupied, sending my two down the line from there. So I like to practice one a lot. Look at the power you can get in that, because we've got movement, speed times mass equals power. Think about the application. You're occupying this hand with your jab, occupying this hand with your touch, and then your two's coming down the line from there. It's a beautiful punch, beautiful punch. If I wanted to work mechanically, probably wouldn't use the maze bag because it's going to swing, so I'm not going to throw the jab particularly hard. But we've got jab, turn, hook, cross from there. I would do that on a heavy bag personally. But yeah, for your 1-touch 3-2 maze bags, they are the way forward. So, last one, we've looked at a lot already. Bit of a bonus one, you need to be able to do your 1-1-2 to make this happen. So we're going to do a 1-1-4, but we're going to do it in a circular motion. So if you haven't got your footwork for the straightforward 1-1-2 yet, practice that first. Step, 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 step. Okay, you need all of that in play to be able to do it. I'm going to circle round to my left, right if you're a southpaw. Okay, I'm going to circle around to my left. But I'm going to shorten my jab as I go round. So we spoke about it in a previous one just now where we was going to go 1-1-2 and keep it long range. I'm deliberately going to go a little bit short range. Think about when I start circling around here, what are you going to do? You're not just going to go and stay here. If I start circling around here, you're going to start circling as well. And it's a beautiful little shot to bring that. You're coming round into my four. It's a collision punch. You're coming round here, my punch is coming round here. 1-1-4. I do like this one a lot. Do it all the time on the bag. Jab, jab, 4. Look at the feet. That's why you need the feet. Step, step, step. And as that 4 is being thrown, that rear hook, this foot comes in. Okay, if you leave it out there, your hip feels really, really weird. This is your hip flexors all locked up. Your glute is all tense. You can't get any rotation behind it. Jab, jab, hook from there. Make sure you can do the footwork first before you practice it, but it's a great one on the bag. So let's have a look. The 1-1-4. Beautiful little combination. Now remember, I am shortening myself on the way round to land this punch. Okay? There's a lot of power behind that. We have movement, quick movement. We have mass coming behind the shot as well. Step, step into the shot from here. Gauge this. So you could be practicing your 1-1-2, but you've got your feet a little bit wrong. You've actually closed the distance slightly. So I'm thinking 1-1-2 from here. I've got a little bit close and I put the hook on the end. So you've got jab, jab, cross, or jab, jab, hook from there. Don't forget to recover the punch as well. Back to your safe position. Have a practice. So there's 8 3-punch combinations for you to practice. There's a few in there that are a little bit advanced for beginners, I know that, but it doesn't hurt you to start thinking a little bit further ahead as well. 3-punch combinations. I like them. Don't get greedy. You know, you don't want to be working your bag with your feet planted to the ground and just highly unlikely to happen. It's not realistic. Okay, you don't want to be just firing one all the time as well. 3 punch combinations, they're realistic. And it's more likely what's going to happen in a sparring match, in a boxing match. 3 and move. Going to stay fairly safe then and hit your target. Drop a little like and subscribe if you found this helpful, and for all of you who have done that already, I am very, very grateful. Thank you so much from me to you, and I'll see you next time.